Hi, I'm Rich with insideHPC, and we're here at SC13 in Denver, Colorado, and we're here at the Ciena booth, and I'm here with Mitch. How you doing, Mitch?
I'm doing great, thank you very much.
Well, good. You know, Mitch, I wanted to ask you about the SDN testbed. You guys announced this thing earlier in the year. Can you tell us where it's come from there and where it's at?
Sure, so we now have it live and running. We had some of our facilities installed over the last few months. We got our equipment delivered and installed as well, and we now have it running live between Ottawa and Chicago, and soon to be up in Hanover as well. In fact, we're demonstrating it for the first time live at this show. We're showing our SDN controller in Ottawa, configuring optical packet and photonic switches in Ottawa, as well as in Chicago in the StarLight labs. And we created this not just on our own, but also in conjunction with several R&D partners. I mentioned StarLight, also ESnet, Internet 2, and CANARIE.
So, Mitch, I wanted to ask you, what were the expectations for the SDN testbed?
Okay, so there's been SDN deployed in data centers for a while, very common there, but it hasn't really been deployed very widely in carrier wide area networks. And what we want to do with this testbed is to build something that was much more geographically distributed. So it spans over 2,500 kilometers, uses actual optical facilities from different facility providers. And what we wanted to do was provide a testbed that controlled packet layer, OTN layer, as well as the photonic layer, and to discover some of the gaps in being able to operationalize a carrier scale wide area network, and also hopefully to uncover some of the solutions to that to enable SDN to be operationalized by these carriers.
So what do you think the potential is for these kind of SDN testbeds in the R&E sector? I mean, what could we expect?
So for the testbed, as well as what we see in terms of their actual usage of SDN, R&E facilities have very large data sets that they need to move from one location to another location, terabytes, maybe petabytes worth of data, and to send that over the internet, to send that over a carrier MPLS network would take days and weeks. They need much higher capacity, but they can't have that capacity turned up and available to them full time, would just be cost prohibitive. So SDN will allow you to automate the connectivity, 10 gig connections, 40 gig, 100 gig connections, but just for the duration that you need to transfer these large data sets. So in a nutshell, we're talking about bandwidth on demand that's controlled at the whim of R&D and at their pace of work.
Okay, so they won't have to break the bank by having this super large pipe that they only use weekly or something, right?
That's right, and they won't have to wait for a long time for the data sets to get from one location to another, so their research can be speeded up.
Oh, great. Well, hey, can you take us through a demo and so you can see how it works?
Absolutely, be glad to. So what we're demonstrating here is the live testbed. We are connected into the SDN controller, which resides in our Ottawa facilities. We are connecting video from a source in the StarLight labs going through our 6500 E-motor layer 2 switch on a blade. And we're connecting that to video sync, which is in our Ottawa facilities. And we're connected between the two locations over the CANARIE facilities and other routes through Internet 2 and ESnet. What we're showing here on the screen is remote desktop that's showing those different video streams. We see that all four of these streams are live today. You see the video changing because we have the VLANs that each of those are streaming over configured on the live SDN testbed. But I can delete one of those services and you'll see that the associated video will freeze. So what I just did there was delete one of those services, one of those flows on the live testbed, and you saw that the video for number 4 has frozen. But I want to bring that video up. I'm going to go into the controller again. I'm going to select the source node in one location and port, destination node, in another location and that port, and configure the controller to set up the VLAN, the flows in this SDN testbed that this video stream is being output on. That's VLAN number 4010. And the SDN controller is going to come back with viable routes to carry that flow. So we've got two different routes here. Route 1, which is taking the short way around the network. And we've got Route 2, which is taking the long way around the network. Specifically, we're coming from the 6500 layer 2 port, transponded over a 10 gig wavelength, which terminates on our 5410 OTN switch. We'll cross-connect that ODU2 onto a dynamic wavelength running across our 6500 ROADMs and into the OpenFlow packet switch. I'm going to choose that path and provision this service. And the SDN controller is now talking to those nodes in Ottawa and Chicago to configure the wavelength, configure the OTN cross-connect, and configure the VLANs to allow that flow to continue. And now you see that that video is now streaming over the network. So what we've shown is live, OpenFlow-based, multi-layer SDN control over a wide area network.